Well, the parents of Nolan Wells say they are concerned about the investigation into his disappearance and death. Wells went missing last weekend in Mississippi, and his body was later found on Horn Island. The 18-year-old was last seen on a boat with friends. On social media, Ben CRUMP, the attorney representing the Wells family, said details about Wells' disappearance and death do not make sense. CRUMP says the family is worried about Mississippi investigating the death of a young black man where young white women and men were involved potentially. CRUMP says Wells' body will be flown to Washington, D.C. for an independent autopsy. He plans to address the public later this morning from New York.
Man, this stuff just ceased to amaze me. So we all remember when Carmelo Anthony had his situation with the Metcalfs, Austin Metcalf, unalived Austin Metcalf, and Fox News was all over it. And they were saying, do not make this about color. This is not about color. Well, we know everything when it comes to black and white in this country is about color. So let's stop the hypocrisy, especially you black conservatives. Y'all are some of the biggest hypocrites on the freaking planet. You know darn well in this country, everything when it comes to black and white is about color. And the people that made it about color was white folks. It's just the truth. I'm not making up nothing. The history's on my side, right? So Fox News was all over that. Painting him as a hardened criminal and just a vicious beast, wild animal. That's what they was doing. Well, now we have the situation with Nolan Wells down there in Mississippi, who went out on the boat with 3 W's, and 3 W's come back, and he doesn't come back. The family's devastated. Everybody's talking about it. It went national, international. Well, Fox News tried to get out in front of it, but now Good Morning America, Michael Strahan, and a lot of I guess good W's are now on the side of Wells' family, and they're calling this stuff out. They're calling this out. They say something stinks in the air, and they want justice. So the family went on to Good Morning America with Michael Strahan to tell their side of the story, along with Benjamin Crump, right? And what we're going to do, like, man, listen, we gotta. Oh man, I gotta show this to you guys because you know, when stuff goes on, when stuff like this happens, we got to pay attention to everything, right? So we're gonna get off into this, man.
Wells. We're joined by his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, as well as their attorney, Ben CRUMP. And before we get started, first off, I want to thank you for being here under these circumstances. You know how extremely tough it must be, and we can express our how sorry we are for you and your family. And first question, how are you two holding up?
Taking it second by second.
Day by day.
Second by second and day by day, which we all can understand. And I just want to ask you, the friends that Nolan traveled to Horn Island with, they say that he stayed behind voluntarily. Why would he stay behind?
That we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would. Like,
I don't know why he would. We always taught him to, if you go with a group, you stay with a group. Mm-hmm. Even when he was in college, he would say, Dad, well, we're going to ride down to a party or something in another city. So I tell him, look, if you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not separate from your group. Because I always say safety is in numbers. Mm-hmm. And he always said, yes, sir. So he knew to stay with his group. So why would he split from his group? I don't know.
So that would have been unusual for him to split from the group. Yeah. And you said he would always check in with you. Did he check in with you that day?
So that day, no, I don't. But of course, too, they were on the boat. And usually when he is out there, which it's not uncommon, he's, I think, since last year, he's been going there occasionally with his friends. And so it would always just be like, hey, Mom, I'm back, type of thing. But this time there was no call or text from him. It was from his friend.
And then, too, really didn't worry a lot about it because, it was his last weekend to have fun. Yeah. Because that Monday, he had to report to school. We was preparing to take him back for camp to prepare for the season. So
I couldn't even, as a man, as a father, who actually stay and raise your children, my son, I couldn't even imagine. I don't even feel, my son is 18. Y'all seen my son. Y'all watched him grow up on this on my channel, my hardcore watchers, people that's been watching me for years. I can't even go to sleep at night if my son is not in his room, in his bed, I can't even lock my door. My son is about to leave to go to college. I'm not even comfortable with that because I'm not used to him not being home all night or overnight, like being somewhere like that. So for my son to leave out the house and I know that he's never coming back. And a lot of times we see the pain in the moms, but we don't see it in the fathers. Man, I'm looking at his dad's eyes. I couldn't even. Something that belongs to me. You took something that belongs to me. Something that got my name and something that's my that's mine. That I've been responsible for. Man, this is difficult. I couldn't even, bro. I couldn't even imagine. Somebody took my son. Oh man, and I'm talking to the fathers out there. I'm talking about the active fathers. Y'all can identify and understand what I'm saying.
You know, we're gonna see. He wanted to have his last little hurrah before he locked down and get ready for the season. Because, like I said, the entire summer he's training. He got more serious. He started to understand what I was trying to tell him about football, not just being fun, but as you get farther in it, it becomes a business. If you want to excel, and you have to understand, and you have to understand both at the same time.
And we know, Ben, that you said that you're going to do an independent investigation.
Yes.
And you say you have Nolan's cell phone and messages were deleted. How could you tell messages were deleted?
Well, his parents got the phone back, and that's something that's important, Michael, because they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, like they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, like, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. Like I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. Like I'm not. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone. They tracked it, and that highlights all these contradictions, Michael. The fact that they said Nolan was talking to a young woman and she said that he said, I'm going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys said that he said he was going to stay with her. And so that's an obvious contradiction. And then this video of this, you can hear an argument going where Nolan is saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking?
See, this is where the police and the people down there are trying to cover up a lot of stuff because, like I said, they tracked down his phone, but it's going to get even more interesting because whoever had his phone, they erased a lot of stuff that was in the phone.
Doing, and so then his phone ends up missing. I don't know any teenagers, Michael Strahan, who says, if you believe that story, I'm gonna stay behind and I'm gonna leave my phone. I mean, no young person leaves their cell phone. And so then there's so many things their parents were telling us about, even why didn't his body wash up with the tide on Sunday? Why would it come on Monday? It's not adding up. And that is the problem when you think about the history of Mississippi.
Yeah, so there's so many questions that need to be answered. And is there anything you'd like people to know about Nolan? What would you like them to know about your son?
No,
It's okay.
Nolan, take your time. Nolan was very loving. He was liked by all. It was not a friend that he couldn't make.
No, we'll be right back with more for the parents of Nolan.
They had to cut the scene and then come right back because, like I said, those of us out there, and I'm not cutting out the mom. I was talking to the dads for a minute in this video because a lot of times when it's like this, is not a lot of emphasis put on the fathers. But those of us that actually stay and take care of our children, the ones that even if you don't stay in a relationship with the woman, but you're actively in your son's life, I couldn't even imagine, man. You know, we see the moms all the time, like the devastation that Black women have to go through with the death of Black boys every day in this country. But a lot of times we don't get a chance to see the fathers. And man, I couldn't even imagine. Like I said, y'all know and see my son. I pray every day. I worry every day. Every day he leave out this house. Yeah, I mean, my heart's skipping the beat. I'm worried. I'm just like my father. I remember up until I was like 32 years old, whenever my father saw something on the news, it could have been a shooting in South Central somewhere. Hey, I saw a shooting in California, man. I just wanted to know where you was at. Dad, I'm in Southwest Philly. Oh, all right. I'm just calling. I'm 3,000 miles away from that shooting. But my father would call me every day and it would get on my nerves. But now as an adult with my own sons, I understand what my father was up against and what was going on. And to see something like this is just disheartening as a man. You know, it's just like, damn, man. Damn. You know, I'm responsible. I was responsible for his protection and I failed him. I wasn't there in his time of need. So I get it, man.
Nolan Wells and attorney Ben Crump. We're back now on GMA with the parents of Nolan Wells, Christina and Elmore Wansley. And I want you to please continue to tell us what you want the world to know about your son.
So Nolan was just like this bright light, right? Walk into a room, his smile, his energy was just so infectious. Like it's almost like he drew you into him. And he was just one of those people, like he always wanted everyone to be included. He didn't want anyone to feel left out. I remember one of his teachers emailing us. I can't remember what grade he was in, but basically it was math class. They had a special needs student and she asked a question and Nolan got everyone to put their hands down because he wanted that student to answer. And so the student answers the question and she was like, Christine, the classroom, Nolan went crazy and everyone else started going crazy, just celebrating that child. Making them feel included. And that was the person he was. Like he loved everyone. And I always told Nolan, like, you know, you have to be careful when you have such a big heart like that. I love that God blessed you with that, but you have to be careful with that because, you know, that it's not always returned, that type of love. But he was just genuinely a good person. Like I always say, all the best parts of me are with him.
And Dad, anything else you want to add?
It's just, he's going to be really missed. I know a lot of his teammates, they all look to him as a leader. He's more like a silent leader. Not real big on words, more action, which is kind of like I was. I really wasn't real big on talking. I really wanted to show you and you follow me and people follow him. And it's gravitated. He put in the work, he worked hard, and he knew he was focused on what he wanted. And he wanted to make life better for, you know, his family. He wanted to have his own family. He used to say, Dad, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to build this. I said, well, son, you got to take it one step at a time. Slow down, let's walk this thing out. You know, let's train, let's sign our deals, let's make these teams, make these camps, put the work in, and everything else will work out. Even his baby brother, their bond got even stronger because now I have a big brother that he's finna do something. So now I want to outdo that. So his focus and his confidence has got even better. So I was looking forward to both of them having outstanding years.
Seasons,
It seemed like he inspired.
Man, this is crazy, man. There's so many discrepancies, but I think that they're going to get some form of justice because there's too many people down there in Mississippi and that surrounding area that's fed up, and they know the history of Mississippi and the racism in Mississippi, and there's a lot of W folks that's just not going for it, right? I seen it all over social media. People are forcing them to get justice. They're going to have to bring the feds in, and the federal government's going to have to come in and get involved and move the Mississippi police out the way. You can't put no trust in them when they want to run everything back to the state. If you notice what's happening when they running everything back to the state, you're starting to see these things happen over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, it just gets crazy.
inspired in the home and he inspired
Absolutely.
outside of the home. And Attorney Crump, where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, the deleted messages that Christina was going to
So-
briefly touch on, we want to
Yeah.
get the phone and figure that out.
Backtrack on that. When we finally got his phone, me and my sister went through the phone. We went in his Snapchat. He had 2 accounts, absolutely nothing. It wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. And I was just like, that can't be. Like, I've seen Nolan whenever he snaps, like when he goes and he's having fun, like he does videos. Like, there was absolutely nothing, no saved videos. And even my sister was like, yeah, that's
why the feds got to get involved.
suspicious,
Michael,
you know.
We having an independent autopsy done at the behest of his family. Colin Kaepernick helped pay for the independent autopsy. We flew his body up from Mississippi to D.C. because they wanted an autopsy done by a person with no interaction with the Mississippi law enforcement, because there's an issue of trust here that is really important. And the fact that they keep trying to say, we're suggesting it was a drowning, but nobody out there reported him drowning, it's not adding up, Michael Strahan. It is not adding up.
And honestly, we are doing this because at the end of the day, I would hope any parent would fight for their kids to find out if anything happened, what did happen. So we just want honesty and transparency. We want a thorough investigation. We want that same respect that would be given to anybody else, and that's it. We just want answers.
Well, we really appreciate all of you being here. We hope you get the answers that you deserve to have, and we hope you get the closure that you need.
Man, this is too much, boy. I'm trying to tell you, if we're seeing this happen just in our generation, imagine what our grandparents and great grandparents had to go through. You know what I mean? You know, our families down in Virginia, Georgia, Mississippi, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, West Virginia, all those places. Imagine what they had to go through, man. The things that they had to endure, right? We can't even begin to comprehend. But this, this is them on Good Morning America. Rest in peace to little young Nolan Wells, man. As more of this story come out, I'll report more of this, man. But this thing, man, this got me thinking about my 18-year-old son, man. Like, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.